Before we begin our presentation today, I want to introduce you to two people. This is Barry Jones. Barry is an analyst acting as a liaison between the IT department and the agency that he works for. He's responsible for getting all the requirements together and making sure that IT understands what they need. He wishes he could do more besides just handing the requirements to IT, but he's really stuck once he hands those requirements over and waiting to get to his part in the backlog. So his goals are to improve his delivery time, to fail fast so that he knows if the solution that IT is proposing is going to work, and be able to take part in the revision. If we look at the other side, we're going to meet a second person. Andre is Barry's liaison, is inside of IT, and he's the one with that really big backlog. He has a lot of friction and projects that are going on and is having to make Barry wait in line even though that's not what he really wants to do. He's really frustrated, wishes there more he can do. That's the problem statement, the interaction between Barry and Andre. We're proposing a solution which is the digital factory. We start with an intake of the requirements. We build the product. After we build the product, we're going to create assignment groups. Later, we're going to create the dev and the agent user. Finally, we're going to build the support models, grant the roles, associate the users to the groups, send an email back to Barry that says this is how you can try it out and this is how you can edit it. That's our goal for digital product factory automation. Let's go through a demo and see how the solution works. With the digital factory installed on a ServiceNow instance, when you go to the Employee Center, you'll have a digital factory services directory. Click on that directory and then you'll find all of the different factories that are enabled. Today we're going to demonstrate the digital product factory for public sector by clicking on the request. In the request, it will tell you the different types of services that are offered. In this case, there's 4 of them. Let's go with HHS, Program Support Desk. Barry is our developer. It's the person inside HHS that we want to send this to. Barry runs a program called Women, Infants, and Children. He has a requirement for this new program. There's not going to be a payment. There's not going to be a map. There may be a digital signature that we need to include. After that, I would submit this application. And like any request inside ServiceNow, you're going to have the status of that request be communicated to you. It will go through all those parts to build out the program. In the last section, we saw the request being put in for a new digital product for Barry. Andre put that request in on his behalf. Email instructions have been sent to Barry so that he can continue with his project. It typically takes anywhere between 3 and 5 minutes to process a new digital factory request. I'm going to now go to the email that was sent to Barry. It says your new digital product, Women, Infants, and Children, which is what Barry named it, is now ready. You can start testing product today, including all the services in it, by going to this URL. And once I log in as Derek with the password that was sent to me, 6 minutes later, Barry is now inside of his digital product called Women, Infants, and Children, and he has 3 different services that are available to him. He can open up those services to apply and then go ahead and submit that application. It's a full application. It's a starting point, so you have everything you need to apply for the benefits. A program isn't just about applying. There's other things that happen as well. You'll see there's also the ability to dispute a claim. Maybe it was rejected before. The third one that we put is to ask a question. If I have a question or a complaint, I can use this. The product Women, Infants, and Children is created, so we have the data model underneath, and also the services. This service is questions and complaints versus the other one were the applications and the disputes. And it also routing it to an automatic assignment group so that we can test these submissions that I'm now putting in. Now that we've tested the end user, we go back to our email, and you can see that the second step is to test your agent console. So if I plug in that new user, you can see that we have 4 unassigned cases. I can click on those 4, and that'll bring me in and show me all of the ones that I'm working. I have a question, and this is something that now the agent can answer back to the constituent by going into the form and using the work notes to type back to that constituent. And now that was just sent back to the constituent. If they opted in for email, it would have emailed them the answer, or it would have gone back to the console where they were before. Now at the same time, I might have started that, I'm working on it, but I also have this dispute that I'm working on, and I can open up the dispute and work through the dispute process in the same way, where I can type back and forth, I can attach files, I can ask for new things that I would need to work that dispute. Going back to our home one more time, we'll open up finally the application. We'll have a little bit of a different interface. And what the playbook is doing is explaining to the agent what they need to do step by step. We could have parts of here that we're viewing the form. They're going to mark these as complete. So it's more like a checklist. These can get a lot more detailed besides just the checklist. So I need to enter the primary applicant information. I need to add people, provide income information. These are just a few examples of the steps that we want to move the agent through in order to prove their experience, which is just as important as our end user's experience. The next demonstration is to log incidents and enhancement requests. What this logged us into is a directory under digital product support, specifically for women, infants, and children. If I go into a request where I want to report a service interruption, this is going to create an incident under the covers for me. It doesn't only create an incident, but you'll see that we have the CSDM created. So the Women, Infants, and Children Business Service was created for us by the factory. And we could say which service are we having the problems with. And if you'll remember, there were 3 different types of services. Having a problem with the application. Now at the same time, we have a second one for an enhancement request. This will get shipped with the actual product. This way you have the support structure built in already. That's the support structure is 1, we built the CSDM model, and 2, we built 2 tickets that are specifically designed to support our program. If you go to digital product support, you'll see that we created a directory specifically for women, infants, and children, and that's where you'll find those 2 requests. They'll also come up in the search result from the central page. The idea is to have those both directly available. The last line in our email, besides the coming soon section, is one where you can click to edit the forms. Once App Engine Studio is launched, we'll see all the major sections. This is the data model that we created in order to support women, infants, and children. The next one is the experience for women, infants, and children. If I want to go in here and change a question, this is still Barry working on these. He's not a developer, he's in the agencies. He can make these quick changes to any of the things in the data model or the questions themselves, the parts in the form. So this is a single line text, and instead of first name, if he wants to call it applicant name, he'll be able to save. So if we want to change the table, we can go right into that table structure, experiences in the forms and the flows. If I come back here and I want to change the playbook experience, which is under logic and automation, I could make changes to this flow. And this is the one we saw earlier on the agent side. I want to add a new step. I'd be able to add that new step. And you can see from our common activities underneath automation topics, we can auto-complete a form. We can add another checklist task. We can create a record. There's a lot of things you can do underneath these to enable the agent to process that application faster. There would be 4 things you need to edit: a data model, a form, which is the experience, and also the logic and automation for some of our more advanced users. If I go back to my apps, one thing I do not have is I do not have a create app button on here. In this case, I lock this user down to what we call a restricted user, so the user can only work on the women, infants, and children application. You can make them a collaborator on one specific application so that they can't modify anything else outside of women, infants, and children. We feel very confident that the Digital Product Factory will solve the problems of people like Barry. Today we showed 5 mini demonstrations, starting with the requirements intake, and then into the delivery category and content where we logged in as Derek. After that, we went in as the responding agent and answered Derek's requests that came in for both the application, the dispute, and the questions. And we looked at the support structure that was included as part of the Product Factory build. Here we built the common service data model so that we can support the program once it goes live. The support structure currently has an incident and an enhancement request. Finally, we went into the area of confined development where we could see that only specific development could be done by Barry. What the Product Factory did was some architecture underneath the covers. One side, we saw a little bit of the CSDM, and this is the architectural data model that supports the program. We also did the delivery side, same model when we went in and created the program for Barry. In our analysis, we looked at the deploy government service value stream. This is the same for all industries, but we specifically zeroed in on a government to start with. We asked different government agencies where they were getting stuck. Where they were getting stuck is here in 6 and 7. They were telling us that it took as long as 6 to 9 months, and then it took another month to get a first iteration on it. That's where a lot of the frustration lies. Today, we took that 6 to 9 months and we squeezed it down to 3 to 5 minutes. We got rid of all of the things in the beginning that get us stuck with the back and forth between Barry and Andre so that we could very quickly get to a product. We have workshops that we can do between our App Engine and our public sector digital services teams. We work with an agency analyst like Barry, and we let them experience the process I just walked you through. We have a way that you can come in and try what I just showed you in the instance directly. And for that, you need to get in touch with me. And this video is one that you can use to see how you would go ahead and walk through that self-service. We thank you for your time and attention.